What's good, Raider Nation? Welcome back to Vegas Nation First and 10, your Raiders go-to for news and analysis. And we actually have a football game to talk about. It was a tale of two halves, I guess you could say, kind of ugly. Got better for the Raiders. It definitely started poorly for them. We're going to get into all of that. I'm Vinny Bonsignore. I cover the Raiders for the Las Vegas Review-Journal and Vegas Nation. To my right is my great friend and colleague, Adam Hill. He also covers the Raiders for the Las Vegas Review-Journal and Vegas Nation. Vegas Nation podcasts, including First and 10, are brought to you by the Las Vegas Review-Journal and Station Casinos STN Sports, and we thank them for all their support. Well, Adam, you have to get the first one out of the way, and the Raiders certainly did that, and I'm sure they want to throw away that first quarter and first half in general. A lot of penalties. Five penalties in all that I counted. A couple of turnovers, two bad interceptions by Aiden O'Connell. The starters got a very brief appearance, one series for the first team offense and the first team defense. It kind of started pretty well. 15-yard pass from Geno Smith to Trey Tucker to start the game, but it went downhill pretty quickly after that. A couple of drop passes by one guy you never see drop the ball, and that's Jacoby Myers. Dante Thornton, the rookie wide receiver, also had a drop pass on that opening drive. They had to punt it away. Wasn't much better defensively. A lot of penalties, gashes with the run. The Raiders fell behind, by a couple touchdowns, and it just wasn't very good in the first half.
Yeah, I think in terms of if people were excited to see what the quote unquote first unit did offensively or defensively, I don't think there's a whole lot of positives you take away from this game. I think if you're looking for positives from the game, they come later on. It's the fact that they were competitive. It's the fact that schematically they look pretty good late. Looked like Cam Miller was able to, do some positive things. I mean, I think he was in a position where he could just go out and kind of just play, kind of, whip the ball around and feel a little bit more comfortable. And that was a good setting for him to be in. It was a little less structured late in the game. We just kind of let him play football, and I think that was good. But that's the kind of things you take away positively. You take away, the fact that they stayed with it. They didn't give up. They fought hard till the end. Like those are all good things. They're cliche things for sure, but those are all good things that they did. In terms of what the first unit offensively and defensively did, I don't know that there's a positive that you really take away.
No.
I think you just look at it and say, not great. The positive is it doesn't count, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Back to the drawing board and gives Pete Carroll plenty to coach on this coming week.
Yeah, let's talk about real quick Cam Miller, the rookie quarterback from North Dakota State. It's Seattle, all right, and this is a very loud stadium, and it was loud in here. There were, I don't know, 50,000 fans here, would you say? Whatever the case was, we ended up going down in the field toward the end of the game. It was pretty loud down there. And talking to Pete afterwards, talking about the great experience for these rookies being on the road, playing in a loud stadium, having to go to silent count. So ended up talking to Cam Miller after the game. He'd never played ever in college with a silent count. So when you talk about first time experiences and how valuable all it is, talking to Cam, telling me like, hey, that's the first time I ever had to use hand signals and all that. And so for him, what a valuable situation for your first game to be in this kind of a setting where not only did you have to go to a silent count for the first time in your life, but you also kind of thrived in it. And as Adam said, there was a little bit of backyard football going on at that point, but probably the perfect setting for a rookie quarterback. Right
I think also kind of interesting that I just asked him about, hey, this is your first NFL game, first NFL experience. Like, I guess what was that like? What was it like to just go out to the field and play? And I thought it was interesting that he kind of said, yes, it was loud and they had to go to the silent count, but he said, look, every game I've ever played essentially has been a championship game. At his level,
you can't lose.
They couldn't lose, and they never did lose. I mean, they played every game that they played in, and every single game was so important all throughout the season because they were expected to compete for national titles. And he said, I kind of got it here. Was like, it's an NFL game. Like, it's just another game. He said he thought the moment would be bigger.
Yeah, like I wish I could say,
That'd be a little bit more like, juiced up. He thought it mattered more. And he just said, it's another football game. And I think that's what enabled him maybe go out and play a little bit. And I think that's definitely one of the biggest takeaways you take is that he did go out and play fairly well, right? I mean, he went out and just slung the ball around, played, and had fun, and I think brought a little bit of energy to the team late in the game.
Yeah. Conversely, not a good night for Aiden O'Connell. It got a little bit better in the second half for him, but I mean, again, at that point, you're playing against a lot of third stringers, guys that are going to be on the practice squad. So let's go back to that first half. Really sloppy with the penalties. You had Jack Besh, the rookie wide receiver, Dante Thornton, the rookie wide receiver, couple mental errors. One lined up off sides, one jumped off sides offensively to two costly penalties. And then on top of that, you had Aiden O'Connell underthrow Dante Thornton. Dante Thornton had wide open, had a step on the guy on his defender. Would have been a touchdown if Aiden got some more air under the ball, but he left it short, easy interception. And then I think it was his very next pass. The next time he threw the ball was another interception on just a really bad throw. And he was pretty disappointed after the game.
Yeah, and I had an interesting conversation, I thought, with Aiden O'Connell after the game down in the locker room, and he definitely wasn't happy what was going on. We'll get into what he said right after this.
This one's for the Vegas locals and Vegas locals only. STN Sports is the sports betting experience built for you. From the app to the 19 convenient locations across the valley to sign up, bet, and watch your favorite games. And with a massive betting menu and daily odds boost, there are tons of ways to get in the action. Sign up today.
Adam, you got a chance to catch up with Aiden O'Connell after the game, and as you said before the break, just wasn't real happy with the performance, and understandably so.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, he was bummed. I think that's fair to say. He wasn't thrilled. And he said especially because he felt that training camp had been going so well, and I thought training camp had been going really well for Aiden O'Connell. I thought there was a couple uneven practices the last few days, and we saw that carry into the game. But he was down. I kind of asked him about a couple of positive plays, especially early in the third quarter. He didn't really want to talk about it. Just said didn't love what I did out there. I really thought I was going to play better. I thought I was going to put more out there. And then I thought, and I'll say it for him, the offensive line let him down. There's no question about it. I thought they let the quarterbacks down from
a lot of rookies. There were
a
couple of rookies on there.
Penalties, and even when there wasn't penalties, there was just guys rushing free. And Jordan Meredith and Jackson Powers Johnson played extensively into the game, but I thought the rest of the line was letting the quarterback down, and I kind of gave Aiden that out. I just said, I asked him,
he's never going to take it.
Yeah, I said, hey, I don't want to say the line struggled. However, what were you seeing up front? And he said, I have to do better. He's like, those guys are fighting. Yeah, they're fighting hard, which they were. It's not like they weren't trying; they were playing hard, but they didn't play well, right? Frankly, and he could have said that. He could have said, like, I got to more time, but he didn't. And so he took on the responsibility himself. And look, it's not completely faultless here. I mean, there were times there was times he had time. There was times he could sit in the pocket, kind of scan the field a little bit, and then come up. And I mean, the throw to Dante Thornton that's got to be a touchdown. Yeah, it's got to be. That's what he's on the field. That's what Dante's on the field for. Yeah, and he did his job. Way underthrow. Yeah, that was really bad. And so I think he takes his fair share of the blame too, and he did. Yeah. For sure. What do you make of the really disappointing run defense effort? Not effort necessarily, but execution tonight. I asked Pete about it afterwards, and just some missed run fits, some missed tackles. We saw a couple of them where guys came up short, and just didn't get it done. Especially in that first half, they into the third quarter, I think it was over 160 yards that they had given up on the ground. You just can't have that. Yeah, and I thought it was all three levels. Right? Yeah, I mean, I thought up front they got pushed around way too much. The linebackers missed way too many tackles. Yeah, certainly, and let 4, 5, 6 yard plays turn into 7, 8, 9, 10 yard runs, and then bad angles by the corners, by the safeties. Yeah, it was all three levels. Giving up the outside, giving up the edge. Yeah, where I don't know what they were necessarily thinking or seeing, but they were like Adam said, they were just taking really bad angles and really taking themselves right out of the play and giving the Seahawks an easy turn around the corner for 10, 15 yards. And I think you can easily say you don't tackle at practice. This is the first time you're tackling, but that's both teams, right? I mean, it's every team in the league really for the most part has not had contact. It's not had tackling guys to the ground, and it was pretty glaring for the Raiders today. But again, I think you come out of this game saying there's a lot that they did wrong. Yeah, especially early, not much that they did right. But this is when you want to make those mistakes. I mean, Aiden O'Connell said, I'm not taking anything positive out of this game, except that we have a game next week. Yeah, that's all you take positive out of this. Right. I think that's fair for a lot of guys. I thought, look, the fact that they played Ashton Genty, I think they wanted to get him going a little bit and show something. Minus 1 yard. There's nothing there on 3 carries, and he wasn't able to make anything out of what wasn't there, and there wasn't anything there to start with. I thought that was disappointing. I thought, we could do probably a 2-hour podcast on just what didn't look great tonight. There was a lot of it. But it doesn't matter. No, I mean, it matters how you play. It matters it matters if you can correct these things. It matters if you're able to fix these things going forward, and that's what they're going to have to do. But the outcome doesn't matter. And in the end, the outcome was a tie. Like they did rally and fought their way back into the game. And look, it's fourth string and fourth string late in the game. I mean,
Yeah.
you're not going to take much from the result, even if it was first against first, but fourth against fourth, you're not taking much from the result. But look, they fought, they scrapped to the end, and found a way to get not a loss on their ledger of whatever ledger you want to say. It doesn't matter.
Right. For sure. Trayvon
Mae.
a rookie from
He played his first 3 years of high school in Hawaii. He did
Yeah.
play his senior year at Bishop Gorman in Las Vegas, so
Yeah.
a third local essentially on the roster, and really interesting connection with Jonah Laulu that I'm gonna write about this weekend. So interesting to talk about him. He said he met his wife in Las Vegas. She went to Faith Lutheran, so another local connection on the team. And
Yeah, nice night.
played a good game, blocked the kicks. It is his first time he's ever blocked a kick in his career, all the way back even to high school, and also had the big sack on third down that got
Yeah.
the Raiders the ball back with a chance to potentially win late in the game. And I mean, great for him. I mean, that you want to make a statement, you want to
Right.
get out there and show something, and he was able to do that. Shedrick Jackson did as well.
Yeah.
Had a nice double move on that touchdown. I asked him kind of not jokingly, but I said, "Hey, you're in a receiver room with some real talented players. Like, you got to make a statement." And the reason that it's kind of funny is because he spent his first 2 years in Cincinnati with
Yeah.
Jamar Chase, and
Right.
Higgins,
Yeah.
the best receiver,
Used to it.
best receiver in the league. So he's used to having a lot of talent around in the receiver room. But yeah, he was able to make a statement. I thought tonight that move was filthy.
Yeah, it was.
Put it right on him.
Yeah, and a lot of these guys, Trayvon included, they might not make the team, but Trevin, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm
There's
sorry.
a lot of Trayvons that have been on the team.
Yeah, my goodness.
That's Trevin.
But for guys like that, even a practice squad is a valuable piece of the pie, and certainly getting your foot in the door, and a night like this, and Pete Carroll talked about him afterwards, so he's on Pete Carroll's radar, and that's why these games are so important for maybe not everybody. But for a lot of people, and I will say this, if you're Aiden O'Connell, you're probably itching to get back there, whether it's on the practice field or out in the playing field, as quickly as possible, because that's just not a night, especially for a guy, going into his third year. And obviously, Geno Smith is the starting quarterback of this team. There's no question about that. But I'm not going to say that it's rare for a quarterback to get through a full schedule, but there's always the possibility that you're going to have to go to your backup quarterback, and so he becomes a very important commodity on this football team. He's got to play better than he played tonight. I know he knows that, but coming off the year that he had last year as well, it wasn't a great year for Aiden O'Connell, and in some ways he kind of digressed, or took a step back from his rookie year. A lot of things were going on wrong offensively, so. You chalk some of that up to that, but he's a guy that the Raiders need to know that they're going to be able to count on this year.
Yeah, no question about it. And look, I think there's a lot of guys that they need to count on. That some had some flashes of positivity. Most of them really didn't.
Yeah.
But again, outcomes don't matter here early in the season. It's what you're able to learn from it, I think, is the biggest thing. And it's not even how you play. Like I said, it's what you can take off the film, what you can say, all right, what you can correct, what you can get better at, what you can learn from. Those are what's important. And the coaches, this is the kind of the game the coaches hate right now. Like right now, as they left the field, I think they were probably pretty upset.
Yeah.
And then they'll get on the plane and realize, oh, we got a lot of things we can coach off of. A lot of things went poorly that we can coach off of.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that process is already starting when they get on the plane. Guys are going to be watching the film back of it. It's an off day for the Raiders tomorrow. They're back at practice. I think it's a 2:00 practice on Saturday. Then back at practice on Sunday. They're off on Monday. And then it's another game week with the 49ers coming into town. 49ers and Raiders will practice over at the practice facility in Henderson. It is an open practice, by the way.
Thursday?
Yeah, on Thursday for fans if they want to come by. I think it does start at 8:30. So if you want to go watch the 49ers and the Raiders practice, that is open over at the practice facility in Henderson. And then those two teams square off on Saturday. Any thoughts about the Niners coming into town and what you would expect from the Raiders? Maybe taking a step in the right direction in that game.
I know you want to hear what I have to say about it, but I want to hear what Station Casinos has to say first.
Here we go.
Hey everyone, it's time to get into the numbers for preseason week 1 with the STN Sports app and all of the numbers that they have available right now for some of the remaining games in this week. Let's start off with some of the biggest dogs that are on the board. That's the Commanders and the Browns this week. The Browns and the Commanders are 6.5 on the spread. The Panthers taking on Cleveland and the Commanders visiting the Patriots. Both games taking place on Friday. In the matchup between Carolina and Cleveland, the total is 32.5, which is one of the lowest totals on the board this week. On Tuesday, head coach Kevin Stefanski noted that Shedeur Sanders is going to get the start for Cleveland, so that should make it an interesting one to watch, see how he shakes out. As for the Broncos, they come in as 6-point favorites over the 49ers in their Saturday matchup. Don't forget, the 49ers are coming to visit the Raiders for joint practices this week. They'll be there ahead of their week 2 preseason game against the Raiders taking place at Allegiant Stadium on August 16th. Also on Saturday, number 2 draft pick Travis Hunter is going to show off whether or not he can play on both sides of the ball. That's offense and defense. He's going to be listed as a starting wide receiver for the Jaguars as well as a backup cornerback. Can he manage that? The Jags are 2.5-point favorites over the Steelers, and the total is 36. And for those wanting to check out how the number 1 draft pick Cam Ward fares for the Titans, they are 4-point favorites on Saturday, and the total is 32.5. You can find all of these numbers on the STN Sports app, and if you're new to downloading the app, you can participate in the $50 No Worry Wager promotion that they have going on right now. You can check all of that out, of course, and the details online. They also have all their physical locations here around town. That last man standing contest for the NFL season is open now. You can check out some of the spreads and numbers. All you need to do is pick the right team each week against the spread, and you stay alive in the contest, last man standing. And that'll do it for the numbers here. Now back to Adam and Vinny.
So if you haven't had a chance to get the app yet, again, we still have the $50 No Worry Wager available. What a great time to get in the summer. Get yourself familiar with the app. The auto racing, horse racing, the golf,
Women's
the
softball
MMA. I mean, whatever you're interested in, check out the STN Sports app.
Okay, so we heard from Station Casinos, and we thank Station Casinos, STN Sports, for all their support. Your thoughts on maybe some things that you'd want to see the Raiders, aside from everything, basically, but specifically, before they get on the field against the 49ers next Saturday.
Run fits and cleaning up the penalties. I mean, there was a lot. I think. Look, I'm excited to look back on the tape, just like the players and the coaches are. I want to see where some of those penalties were, exactly what they were calling. I know Jonah Lulu had back-to-back.
Did you talk to him about that?
I did not see him.
Okay.
I was
talked to
talking to
Pete.
the offensive side, and I think the second one. Look, he by letter of the law was a penalty. Yes, looked like he kind of got his hand caught. But again, we're here live in the stadium. It's real tough to see. That's the kind of stuff I want to go back and look.
Well, Pete said that
film.
The referees came over there and kind of warned him a little bit. He's like, it's not. You usually don't see these penalties. And he goes, I kind of wish they would have come. He goes, because the referee didn't come up to him, Pete Carroll.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have known, so I could have talked to him. But he got warned one time, and then they called it twice on him. So it kind of is what it is. Another learning experience for Jonah. But I'm definitely going to go back on the tape and watch that, because as I said, I told Pete, I go, you rarely see that happen in a game once, let alone twice on the same drive, and within a couple plays of each other.
2 plays apart.
Yeah, he wasn't happy about it. He felt like maybe the referees could have come over there and talked to him, and he could have, taken Jonah out and talked to him himself, but it didn't happen. So
it's also what the preseason is for, right? I mean, it's hey, you learn a lesson, right? I mean, again, what does 20 yards of penalties or 10 yards of penalties matter in the preseason? No, but I'm sure Jonah's gonna be thinking about it. I know it's something that he's gonna be learning and watching the film on and going with the coaches. What can I do? What can I not do? They have referees out at practice every day. I'm sure he's gonna be talking to them. What can I do? What do you see here?
It was the same referee too, I believe. It was the same the back judge. So, that's something to keep an eye on, because as Pete said, you can't have 10-yard, those 10-yard penalties are big. It is a preseason game, as Adam pointed out. So it doesn't count. But you don't do that in the regular season game, or else you're going to, cost your football teams. So
some clock management stuff I didn't like in the first half too. I know we were going back and forth about playing for a tie, which I hate. I hate in the preseason.
Right.
You go for the 2 in the week.
It almost worked.
We usually say, but I think, late in the first half, there was some debate.
That was a weird
It was
situation.
weird because they thought they had a 4th and short.
They did.
They got up to
And
the
they-
line of scrimmage, and they announced 4th down in the stadium. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you could hear that on the TV broadcast you're watching at home. They said 4th down, and the Raiders scrambled up to the line and ran the ball to get a first down when the clock was running.
And it was already first
It was
down,
already first, and the yard marker said first, but the announcer in the building said 4th down.
which is, this is what's crazy to me about that whole play. Yes, they announced it. We all heard it. I think they announced it in the press box as well, that it was fourth
No,
down.
we just heard it outside.
Okay, so we heard it outside. We clearly heard fourth down. And I'm going, no, it's first down. And Pete was standing right next to the yard marker.
Yeah.
So, but he never, probably you're just so, I guess, tunnel vision, and you hear what you heard, and you're scrambling to go get a first down when it was already a first down.
Yeah.
So it totally wasted play and wasted time.
Yeah, that's what you don't want to see in the regular season. But again, preseason, and maybe preseason for the officials too, that they didn't have that correctly marked.
They had it correctly marked.
Right. I guess everybody
The public announcer.
and you can't listen to the announcer if you're the team.
No.
I mean, you have to go by what's on the field. But it is, it's in a hurry. It's real quick.
Yeah.
Again, lesson learned, right? It's
Right.
don't listen. If you're out on the field, if you're Aiden O'Connell who's running the play, don't listen to what
Yeah.
they're saying in the stadium. Look at the yard marker, see where you're at. And again, they ran up to the line and then ran the ball and then got up on the ball. They should have probably spiked it in that situation or run a play.
Right.
But you don't get up and waste a running play when you're on timeouts and the clock's running late in the first half, and it led to a scramble, the field goal attempt, which was also bizarre because the clock stopped in the stadium and it shouldn't have.
It was
so
on 8 for like 8 seconds.
So the Raiders were scrambling out on the field. They sprinted everybody out to try to kick a field goal. Then the clock stopped in the stadium, so they kind of were like, "Oh, I guess the clock is stopping."
Right. No.
So they kind of slowed down a little bit, and then realized, "Oh, it's running again now,"
Yeah.
and then tried to scramble again, and it was a disaster of a field goal attempt there late in the first half. So that was really, really poor execution in the final 2
By
minutes of the first
everybody.
half.
The clock
By
guy,
everyone.
the officials, it
The
was just,
Raiders, the coaches, everyone. It was bad. So
did we mention that it's a preseason game? So
Again,
again, for everybody, including us,
yeah.
as well. So that'll wrap it up from Lumen Field here in Seattle. We got a chance to see the Raiders for the first time. Not a whole lot good to talk about, especially with the first team and that first half. They were able to get it together a little bit and make a game of it and make a run at it, and they ended up coming up just a little bit short, but they did come away with the tie. Again, they'll be back in action next Saturday over at Allegiant Stadium, 1:00 kickoff against San Francisco 49ers. They also joint practice with them on Thursday at 8:30. It is an open practice for the fans if you want to come by over at the practice facility in Henderson. Adam and I will be back on Saturday after their 2:00 practice, and then again on Sunday to wrap up what we saw in those two practices, as well as into next week as well. Thank you for all your support. Thanks for staying up and watching us. If you're catching it on Thursday night or maybe early Friday morning, take care, enjoy it, and we'll talk to you guys on Saturday.